From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something that you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Wednesday Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. Couple different guests today. We're going to first talk to Tyler Siskey, the man behind the recruiting operation for Ole Miss football. We'll go through what kind of the evaluation looks like, what they've done differently, how they've gotten organized, and if Saturday meant anything or not to recruiting for Ole Miss. And then we'll have some fun with our buddy Gabe DeArmond, who covers Missouri on the Rivals Network. Missouri plays Georgia. We'll discuss bobbleheads and West Lafayette train tracks and much more with Gabe coming up here in a little bit on the show. The show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Remember, home football this weekend means let them cater your tailgate. 3 slabs of ribs, $33. A couple pounds of pulled pork. They got quart-size sides as well. And free gas Friday on Friday. You follow the Oxford Exxon on Twitter. You tweet at them, you're clever, they'll fill up your tank before you leave town. So all those things with the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West, and again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call the number, ask for Corey Clark, tell Corey what new Ford you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's that simple. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggling. Corey's great at what he does. He wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. So ask for a quote. He'll send you the quote. He's going to send you a quote that is fair. It's right to the bottom line. It's going to save you time, but it's also going to give you, if you are just the kind that just cannot trust a car dealer, you're not alone. He's going to give you a quote that you can go take and shop. Not going to cost him any time at that point. You're going to end up coming back to Clark Ford. It's the best product. You're going to get a great, like I said, a great deal, great service after the sale, delivery options, all of those things. It'll be the beginning of a relationship there with Corey and the people at Clark Ford. And if you tell them you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast, any of our family of podcasts, you'll save $500, 662-257-1900.
It's been a conversation on the podcast before. It popped up yesterday in a thread. I made a Twitter poll last night. What percentage of the people who responded on Twitter do you believe never tip on takeout, Neal? I offered always, at places they frequent, or never as the 3 options.
I always tip on takeout.
Okay.
Unless I don't have cash and it won't let me on the card.
Well, of course.
At which point I feel terrible.
What percentage said never, in your opinion? I've got it up. What do you think?
50.
Close. Always at 26%, 1 out of 4. Places they frequent at 30%, so 56% tip in some capacity, and then 44% never tip on the poll.
I just think that's terrible. Because let's say you go order from, name a place.
I picked up from the sushi restaurant the other day in town.
Okay.
One of them. There's several.
Your ticket was $38?
Yeah, probably a little more to that, actually, by the time you feed everybody. But, yeah, $50. Whatever.
Okay, $50. How hard is it just to throw $2 on the thing for the girl who's bagged up your stuff and asked you if you wanted plasticware, and she gave it to you, and she rung you up, and all this stuff? I know that she's an employee, and that's her job. But how hard is it to throw a couple of dollars at her?
You know, what's funny about it is I typically on takeout will write $2 in no matter what the bill is for whatever reason. $2 is just typically what I tip on takeout, whether it's Obie's or a sushi place or wherever.
Okay.
I do wonder sometimes who actually gets it.
Yeah.
That's always on my mind for whatever reason. And, yeah, if you give me a spot there, 99% of the time I'm going to write in something. As we talk about with Gabe in a minute, I don't carry a lot of cash. So, and now, look, I don't go here but a couple times a year probably. But I don't typically tip at Sonic because they do not allow me to add it to a card, A. B, I don't have cash. And C, it's fast food that they are choosing not to have a drive-through. That's not really my problem in a lot of ways.
Right.
especially if they don't have skates on. If you're just walking it out, I'm not real impressed. So it's sort of my stick there. But, haircut, most of the time I'll tip.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And again, I understand the guy goes, well, you're literally paying that would be literally like going to the doctor, him doing something, and you tipping the doctor for doing his exact job. There's nothing additional there whatsoever. However, I still do it. It's why in a lot of ways I think Europe has it right with the no tipping society. Just raise the fees and let's cut out this entire middleman, because most people don't do it correctly. And when you really break it down and think about it, if it's not the bartender making cocktails and different things, it does sort of lose logic in your head when you try to run it all the way out sometimes.
It does.
It is putting the burden on the customer because the employer doesn't want to pay the person.
That's true.
I mean, in some ways, you're just making up for a cheapskate over here doing something else.
If you've ever worked and then the guy that owns the restaurant would tell you, well, if I have to do that, I'm going to raise the prices on my menu, which, okay.
But raise them by the percentage I'm tipping.
It's all going to all even out.
Whatever.
Yeah. If you've ever worked in the service industry for any length of time, even if it was decades ago, as is the case for me, you just have a thing about tipping.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I just think there are multiple levels that should be factored in.
I'm not arguing.
I mean, I would consider myself a fairly pretty good tipper, but
okay, here's one for you.
Yeah, sure.
Because I struggle with this calculus sometimes.
Okay.
I say very frequently, occasionally, I'll use Volta as an example. Okay?
All right.
Everyone in my house loves Volta.
I
find it fine.
Okay.
It's not my favorite thing. It's not my least favorite thing. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm with you pretty much all the way there. I like it less than everyone else that I'm around.
Here's one of the things I like about Volta.
Okay.
It's kind of quiet sometimes, or I can sit at the bar. No one knows who the hell I am. I sit there and I can get into my phone for 20 minutes while I wait, and I can have a drink.
Okay.
So let's say I go to Volta, and this has happened fairly recently, and I go in and I have a margarita, and I know what my order is, but I don't want to put it in yet because they're pretty fast.
They have pretty good margaritas.
Yeah, they're pretty fast. And I have a strategy here. I need some time to myself. I don't want to answer questions. I don't want to talk to anybody. I need a little me time.
Okay.
So the guy says, "You ready for me to take your order?" I'm like, "I'll do it in a minute. Hang tight." So I get to the end of my margarita and I say, "Okay, I'll place my order and I'll order a beer." Okay, so I now have a margarita and a beer that the bartender served me, and I have an order for 4 people. I've got a hummus plate, and I've got some soup, and I've got a wrap, and I've got another wrap. So my total bill is like $55. But the bar part of the bill is probably more like $8. Do I tip on the $8 or do I tip on the $55? Because that's a big difference in what I'm going to tip.
What I would typically do is put my standard tip for the cocktails and the alcohol plus $2 or $3 that I would typically tip on takeout.
That's what I did.
It's a hybrid, if you will.
It is a hybrid, and it looks funny when you do it, yet
it makes all the sense in the world.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And I always wonder if they figured out that that's what I did, or if they thought I was being cheap or what. Because I didn't eat at the table. There wasn't service. You threw it in a bag. Yet you did serve me a couple of drinks.
When you're probably giving that full tip now to the bartender instead of the person that bagged up your stuff.
Right. And I'm a bartender fan.
It's a little complicated.
It does.
Yeah, and I do think there are a couple places in town where I'll tip a little more on takeout, and I do think it helps me get out of there quicker in the future.
Sure.
There's no doubt. There's a couple places I go a lot that I feel like I can finagle out of there pretty easily and pretty quickly.
If you're providing service to someone, and there's 2 people there, one who always takes care of you and one who doesn't, who do you think is going to get the faster service?
There's a couple employees there that'll see you come to the door and go, "Hey, let's move it here." And they'll even bring sometimes the bags around to me and go, "Hey, hand me your thing. Let me just get you." Okay.
Money makes the world go round.
It's that, just our D-list celebrity status that we have in the county too. I mean,
D-list.
We walk in and it just starts, the crowd starts parting, if you will. That's what Dylan always told me. It's like if Oxford had a Dancing with the Stars, y'all would be great candidates. I was like, yeah, season 8.
Yeah, season 22. On Dancing with the Stars, Junior.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Anyway, we'll pass on that. Neal has like a 47-minute discussion now on Sesame Street having to put sexual orientation on its puppets, so I'll wait on him to finish that. Then we'll move on with today's show. I'm kidding. I'm astonished that that's where we are in 2018. But
so yesterday,
here we are.
I talked to my mom last night to continue this.
I didn't necessarily mean to continue this. I was kind of making a joke.
I'm going quickly, and I refuse to watch the news anymore. And so what's in the news yesterday, apparently the best I can tell, what's in the news as of yesterday is a debate about Kavanaugh. I don't even know his first name. Isn't that great? I love it. Brett Kavanaugh. We're having a debate about Brett Kavanaugh and a alleged sexual assault that allegedly happened decades ago that may or may not impact his confirmation.
That's correct.
That's story one, and I'm not casting judgment. I don't know enough to cast judgment, and I'm thrilled that I don't.
He's being serious. He has no clue.
No clue. So don't do the Neal. It's not alleged. It's not. I don't know, and I don't care. I know that's terrible. I should, but I don't. Story number two, there's something happening with the president's penis. I don't know what it is. I'm glad I don't.
Some Mario reference.
Something about a race and the president's penis, and I don't care. Believe me, I care less about that than I do the other one. And then Pampers has taken Sesame Street diapers off the shelves because we are concerned about Bert and Ernie and Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch
being all male
and the Cookie Monster, and whether they're all male or whether they're
Well, my
gay
favorite part of this is Pampers made a comment about how little girls needed whatever. I can tell you, my daughter is 2, and that's the time the diapers stop, if not before. The concept of femininity or anything at this point, lost on her. Sorry, we're not there yet.
So are you telling me? Are you telling me?
I'm telling you, she's pissed. It was Cookie Monster, and she goes, "Where's the females in this equation?"
Are you telling me that she is not concerned about Cookie Monster's sex life? Is that what you're saying to me? Are you saying that she's not worried about Oscar the Grouch's sex life? It's possible that Oscar is the Grouch because there is no sex.
Well, yeah.
Maybe Oscar is in such a bad mood because it has been a long time.
Look, maybe she's just apolitical. Maybe my child is just not the Gloria Steinem of 2-year-olds. But, at some point, I think I've got a pretty accurate situation here on my hands. And, yeah, I don't think I told you yesterday, whatever. I don't care what people believe, don't believe, have at it. Live and let live.
Yes.
But I do wonder, what are you doing with your time? The people that are this concerned about so many things, I'm really glad you guys are in the world.
I am too, because it means that I'm never going to be at the absolute rock bottom.
Yeah, I could just do average, and I'm going to move up okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's easier now.
I just show up, and I'm good.
Yeah. It's the thing in college of, hey, just turn something in. It's fine. You'll pass. And you will.
I will tell you that this completely not giving a damn is liberating.
Well, you know nothing.
I know nothing. Nothing. I know the Cubs' magic number. It's 8.
You know the Cubs' magic number.
And I now know the Braves' magic number is 9.
7.
7. I'm sorry. Kudos.
Yeah.
I'm good. I know the Yankees beat the Red Sox last night.
What is it? It's NPR that does the Wait, Don't Tell Me show every week or whatever, where they have all the trivia and stuff? You would suck. It's like current events for 2 hours. You'd be terrible. The show's pretty funny, by the way.
I know it's horrible, but it's so liberating.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to Tyler in 1 minute. Before we do that, no real news from yesterday, it appeared, from football practice.
Just the confirmation that Vernon Dasher was suspended for one game for something. It appeared that he was...
Dean Dukes was injured. They held him out for injury purposes.
Okay. It appeared that Dasher was at practice and running around.
He's on the top of the depth chart at star for the league.
Well,
he's going to play.
They don't have enough players now to do a lot. The interesting thing from practice yesterday was DK Metcalf, his comment that maybe they took Alabama's secondary lightly. That infuriated a lot of people.
I understood the shock value of it when it first got posted, and then as time passed, I went, Watt out is kind of cocky. News at 10. I'm shocked. It didn't change the play of anything. It changed nothing. Move on with your day.
It didn't.
Whatever.
We've dissected that game. If you watch that game, you know what you saw.
Yeah, that was not the thing that you're pointing out or doing anything else.
If you watch that game, you know what you saw.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to Tyler in 1 second. Before we do that, I'll tell you the podcast is brought to you in part by Oxford Wine and Spirits, located on College Hill Road next to Lost Pizza. Good selection, 5% off, industry standards as well. So already making it cheaper for you, and they can make it even cheaper for the podcast listener, because when you go in, $150 or more of a purchase, 5% off wine, 10% off liquor when you mention this here podcast. So stock up for your tailgate, stock up for the parties, and being in town this weekend. So again, next to Lost Pizza on College Hill Road, that's Oxford Wine and Spirits.
How well do you know your credit? Brian McLaurin is an experienced attorney offering a unique, highly personalized service to not only repair credit but also educate clients on the ever-changing world of credit. He will work with you for an entire year to help you create a personalized plan to raise your credit score to help you meet your financial goals. No one else offers this kind of personalized credit counseling. It's why Gambrell and Associates refer their clients to Brian to get a fresh start. So whether you're looking to fight off debt collectors, get approved for home, car loans, or for that luxury credit card, let Brian McLaurin get your credit fixed and teach you how to take control of your credit. He provides valuable information that he's acquired through years of experience and research, and it allows him to offer a unique, personalized service for anyone in any state, as he is always available to his clients by phone and email, and he's ready to work for you. Contact Brian at bhmclaurinlaw@gmail.com or call him at 662-298-2029. The podcast also brought to you in part by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Excuse me. Have you been thinking about that golf trip with the guys that you'll never forget, or maybe that anniversary trip that she'll never forget? Whether you've dreamed of playing St. Andrews or sitting at a cafe in Paris, talk to John Edwards before you try to do it yourself. Why use John? Well, he's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. John traveled the globe for 37 years before getting into the travel business, so he knows the extra attention needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. So if you're thinking about going with the boys to Pebble Beach or taking her to Napa for the vacation of her dreams, call John, give him some parameters and a budget, and let him give you some options. And know this, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. Call John at 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
Now Tyler Siskey on the Billy's Pecans hotline.
Tyler, thanks for joining us. We're gonna get to Ole Miss football in a second. Football recruiting. I know that's what people want to hear. You're a diehard Braves fan. You might love the Braves similarly to the way that I love the Cubs. It's been a little while since you've been through one of these pennant races, and here you are. And it's beginning to get late September, and the Braves are struggling to defeat the Cardinals. There's a bunch of games left with Philly. Your stress level, 1 to 10, with 1 being completely calm and 10 being I'm freaked out. Where is it right now?
I will say about a 5. I'm a little irritated, but I do know what the magic number is and how that works, and I figure if they can split with Philly over the weekend, then things look good.
Yeah, my son starts doing magic numbers at about 40-something, and I'm like, man, it's too early. Don't do that. Don't do that. And now it's down to 8, and we're doing math, and yeah, so I get it. Well, I think you're okay. Is it more? It's fun though, right? As a Braves fan, I mean, it's more fun than the last couple of years when September was meaningless.
It really feels like when I was a kid. Back in the '90s when you got a young group that really nobody had heard of coming in, and I was actually looking at the MLB deal with postseason projections, how they have the percentage or whatever. Well, like back at the start of the season, they were at 0%. So, to see them climb and such a young team and even guys that really aren't playing now that, had a part of the season that were, under 20 years old. And it's just really impressive when you see all these young kids out there playing, and then they come up with Freeman. So it really reminds me a lot of the early 90 Braves, with, nobody had heard of a guy named David Justice, or nobody had heard of a guy named Chipper Jones. So it's pretty fun, and hopefully it's the start of a run like they had back in the 90s.
Yeah, after that huge streak, it's amazing. I think the Braves have won, one division title since 2002 or something like that? Last
Probably.
15 years?
It's been a while. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk some football recruiting before people get irrationally angry at the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask some.
My baseball.
I'm going to ask some questions that I think I know the answers to, but I know fans want these answers, so I want them to hear them from you. Obviously,
all right. You're putting 60 seconds on the clock, and we're doing the. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Obviously, Saturday did not go as well from a football standpoint as Matt Luke and you and everyone over there had hoped. Alabama is an awfully good team, and Ole Miss didn't play its best game, and the results were what the results were. A lot of recruits were there. Fans want to know, does a game like that, does it hurt recruiting, or does it give kids who are looking to play early incentive to say, hey, I could get on that field quickly?
Me personally, I don't think it does either. I think a game this early in the season, I believe I made the comment publicly, I guess 2 days ago, that in 2013, we had a pretty good recruiting class that year, and we gave up 66 points in the third game of that season. So, I think, the whole body of work is what a recruit's going to look at, to whether you're making progress or you're not. It's so early in the season, and we're still young on defense, and, I don't think it really has, I think it has little to zero impact on that part of recruiting. I think when, the other thing I kind of say is, if in December or February, whenever the young man decides to sign, if he looks up at me and he goes, Coach, today this is where I want to be. I want to be at the University of Mississippi. It's the best place for me. This is where I want to go to school. That's going to impact the rest of my life. And around here we say it's not a 4-year decision. It's a 40-year decision. And if it comes down to all that, and he goes, but you know what? I'm not going to come there because you gave up 63 points and got beat by 50-something, whatever it was, in the third week of the season, then that tells me pretty much everything I needed to know about that young man, and it's probably not a good fit to start with.
It also tells you that he was looking for a reason not to go there.
Right. I mean, it wasn't ever going to work out. So there's, I don't get caught up emotionally in recruiting. I have a very strict job to do, and it's to get the best 25 or so kids or whatever our number is each particular year here that not only are good football players but fit. I think sometimes in recruiting you can go chase a guy that may be a really good football player but that's not a great fit. And yeah, it looks really good on signing day, but they never amount to a whole lot once the end of your career. So I think you got to be really careful about making sure you're getting the right guys.
You were at Alabama for a while. I know that you learned a lot about football, about recruiting, about organization, all of those things from what is the elite program in the country. It's the absolute standard bearer, has been for a decade plus there in Tuscaloosa. How much of that, in terms of system and philosophy and organization, have you tried to bring to Oxford in the last few months, and sort of where does that process stand?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, it's really been, I've probably had the most fun that I've had in 19 years of recruiting, really like the last 6 months. Anybody that likes recruiting, okay, any coach that enjoys it, part of the fun is, and we all remember because we had those games in the portal, the NCAA ruined the fun for us with PlayStation. When everybody you could recruit, you're able to build something. And, the NCAA used to go in and build your team. You'd take some you take some really bad team and you would recruit to it and make them really good on the game. So anybody that really enjoys recruiting enjoys building. So the one thing that I've been really excited about is we basically built this thing from the ground up. We started, I think, when I got here. I was trying to count the other day. I think I was the fourth person in recruiting when I got here in February, and now we have 25 people working. So, we've actually physically built. We've built basically our own personnel department up in the second floor of the Manning Center where the old head coach's offices were. My office currently sits in what used to be an open air. It used to come all the way down to the lobby. So it's really it's been fun. But you're asking about the organization and all that stuff. The model is basically the same as we had at Alabama, and it's being run now at 4 other universities in the SEC. So, and really only 4 other programs in the country, but they're all obviously in the SEC. But it's been a blast.
What with I don't know whether you want to give away trade secrets here, but I mean, what is kind of the way the model works? I mean, how does you say only 4 schools operate it? What is it that makes it different from what most schools do? Yeah,
so you could tell I was dancing around that one. Huh? That was good to see. Neil, you're good. All right, so basically, what I mean by that is there's so many levels to the structure and the organization that there have been people that have worked at Alabama. It all started in Alabama, and basically the whole system was modeled around an NFL personnel department. And most of the people that have gone other places, and they've already started coming after our guys too. So, but other schools will want to do the model. They will try to hire somebody that's worked in the system. But if you haven't been in the what I call the upper echelons of the system, which in my position or the assistant position or one of the upper echelon positions, you really don't understand how to tie everything together, if that makes any sense. So some people have tried to model it, but they don't have the knowledge of how to tie the whole system together. So they do certain sections of the system, but they don't do the whole thing. The 4 programs really that are running on this system and running it well, obviously, is us here at Ole Miss, Alabama, obviously, because that's where it started, Georgia, and Tennessee. And obviously because of Kirby at Georgia, and Jeremy Pruitt actually did, before he got started, he actually ran the system as well. He was the director of player personnel at one point in time. So he definitely understands it. So, and I think they're doing probably one of the best jobs in recruiting in the country right now. I think they do a really good job.
How are you guys being received? I know it's been a weird couple of years at Ole Miss. I mean, the sanctions, the stuff that hung over the program for years, the stuff that happened with Hugh Freeze last summer, the whole interim season with Matt Luke, and then all of that. I mean, that's a lot for a program to endure. How are you being generally received by recruits?
And again, I got here in February, and I can't really speak on what happened here before. One, because I wasn't here, and I don't like talking about things I don't know. But I will tell you this going forward, I see absolutely zero effect. The sanctions don't affect this class that we're currently recruiting in 2019 moving forward. So it really hasn't affected it all. Of course, you got some guys that I actually prefer when people try to negative recruit against us, like that makes my job easier. So I welcome it. Some people are like, oh no, I'm afraid. No, let them do it, because then all I have to do is they'll say, well, they're on, and it's happened. You're going to be naive to think it's not going to happen. But when people go in a negative recruit, I'm going to hit them right back with, hey, look, this is the proof. This is what it is. Then it makes them look like a liar. So, it's not a big deal. For me, I actually enjoy it. So if they want to try to hit us with negative recruiting, please do. and we'll be able to battle it, and it's going to, working out. On our end, that's why, I've always said as a recruiter, never to negative recruit, because if you're negative recruiting someone, then you don't have enough positive things to say about, your staff and your university. We always say, if you don't want to go to Ole Miss, you better not take a visit.
Let's take a break in our talk with Tyler to tell you about Visit Oxford and the different things coming up in the Oxford community starting on Friday, the day before Ole Miss and Kent State. Take a double-decker bus tour. Very, very popular. Those beginning at 2 p.m. The same day as that is the Clear Creek Music and Arts Festival, and a couple of days after that, on September 25th, the Oxford Art Crawl, always bringing in a good crowd. The double-decker bus tours are before every home football game on Fridays at 2 o'clock. The Wizard of Oz is coming to the Ford Center on October 21st, and another art crawl on October 23. So many things to do in Oxford, even if it does not involve a football game. So come in, take advantage of all of it with Visit Oxford.
The Ole Miss soccer team returns to the pitch on Thursday night as they take on the Tennessee Vols at 6 p.m. Admission is free, so bring the family out and enjoy some SEC soccer. The Ole Miss football team returns to the Vault on Saturday as they take on Kent State at 11 a.m. Tickets still remain and can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. Mark your calendars for the inaugural Hole-in-One at the Vault on Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. as part of the Ole Miss Year of the Fan. Children in grades 8 to below, Ole Miss students, and adults over the age of 22 will have an opportunity to hit shots at various targets on Hollingsworth Field for a chance to earn prizes. To sign up, visit omyearofthefan.com. The podcast also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, look no further than Grenada Nissan. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Go in, test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast or at rebelgrove.com, and you'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com.
Today, the podcast is also brought to you by Tyson Drugs, TysonDrugs.com. They have a great app and are located in downtown Holly Springs, 662-252-2321. Also in Oxford, G&M Pharmacy on South Lamar. They deliver local in the Oxford area. I had somebody ask me about sildenafil a couple days ago. Give them the contact information. Just people helping people over here.
Was it Oscar the Grouch?
It was not Oscar the Grouch. It was not Bert or Ernie. I'd have to look and see who it was. They probably would not like me to pass that along on the internet.
They probably would not want that passed along, but it wasn't Bert or Ernie.
It was not, no.
Huh.
Or Oscar or Cookie Monster.
Interesting.
Or Big Bird.
Was it Snuffleupagus?
Not that I'm aware of. Anyway. All right, back to Tyler Siskey, Billy's Pecans Hotline. Speaking of that, kind of dovetail a little bit, how big of a deal is the unofficial visitor restriction if it does stick after the appeal?
I mean, obviously, it would be a little bit. I knew that coming in here. I've been tinkering and thinking that it controls my thoughts. A lot. I wake up a lot. I feel better now because of strategies and things in place that I've got whenever it hits, if it does hit. But there's so many questions, that you can't control. I mean, there's answers that they would have, the NCAA would have to give us that would dictate, what strategy we go with. How long is an official visit supposed to be? And there's so many questions that would affect strategy and how to make it the best. And there's so many unknowns, I guess. And so, I got about plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to about double Z and maybe triple Z. I got about 45 different strategies ready to go, depending on stipulations. No stipulations would be the best, but there's going to be plans in place to make it effective. And at the end of the day, I think we got strategies in place to where it would not have very much effect at all.
How quickly do you start making decisions as a staff on evaluating kids? I mean, we joke inside our network sometimes about 2022 kids and 2023 kids and some of that. How early are you comfortable with making evaluations that ultimately decide whether or not you early offer a kid?
You hit the hot word, comfortable, right? So I think you got to be careful locally, for sure. You got to know, and when you offer, so you're going to be, and it doesn't matter. And I'm just going, everybody's like this, whether they say or they don't. But when you are recruiting in your own state, and obviously Mississippi is a huge part of what we're recruiting, you can't just go out there and start throwing offers around, and you got to be really sure. When you are sure, of course you make the offer. And it's not sure, and this is another thing, is you get this like, well, why hadn't y'all offered this guy? Why haven't y'all offered that guy? And our offer stand, how good they are, that's just part of it. There's so much more to the equation than just how good someone is, and that you got to when you start evaluating. So, so if you're saying that now we're recruiting the 2019 class, you can look at the kids that are in the 2021 class, and some of these kids, and not all of them, but you can tell the guys are going to be the elite players. If they're going to be an elite prospect, I'm talking about top 2% of the recruits, they're already that. I always say they're grown men, and you can tell right away. And, Neil, you were around me back when I was a high school coach, and I don't think there was any doubt about it that when Mark Barron was in 10th grade, he was a grown man. When everybody knew who A.J. McCarron was when he was in 9th and 10th grade, but you may not have known some of the other guys. And so I think you can tell the elite prospects in the 2021 class, and sometimes even the 2022. There's a few that you can just tell, but for the most part, I can start gathering who the Division I players are in their after their sophomore film. I can probably the complete season. I can start gathering guys that are a good pool of guys who are Division I players.
When you talk about a lot more to it, are we talking in general grades and character or whatnot, or does it also be somewhat dependent on what school you're recruiting for and how they fit certain programs, or are we just talking about everything about the kid's profile per se?
Yeah, so we grade. So I don't want to give away our secret to evaluation here, but I did a study when I got to Alabama. I did a study, and I went to practice, and I was like, holy smokes. I was like, every one of these guys is talented enough to play on Sunday. Why don't they? And, I'm sitting there going, that was unbelievable. And so I looked at the guys who kind of, ended up making it, and doing really well, and the guys who didn't. And I just looked. It took me about 3 months to get it figured out. I just kept really nothing. It wasn't really, I guess, a study as much as it was just trying to figure out what the deal was. And I came up with 5 intangible characteristics that all the great ones had. And so what I did is I went back to my time here, and then I went back to Arkansas State. I went back to my whole career, to even to St. Paul's, all the stuff. And I found 5 unique intangible characteristics that they all had. Intangibles, okay? And that they all had in common. And 73% of those that were what I call 5 for 5 guys played on Sundays. 100% of the guys that were 5 for 5 were really, really, really good college football players. And what I realized is, even though I just figured that out, I had started recruiting like that when I was at Arkansas State. And that's kind of the model that we used in building that program up. Well, they still haven't lost since we started winning. That was 2011, I guess. It's a whole different program. And, you're able to build a program for long-term success when you can get your roster full of guys like that. and you go back and you look, and I'm not going to really go into detail publicly of what the 5 for 5 are, but you look back and it ends up when everybody's like, man, I can't believe that y'all took that guy. Da, 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 da. Well, you better bet he's a 5 for 5 guy. And, you know, you go back to Mike Hilton's, Evan Ingram's, okay? Y'all were around then. I know y'all were working in recruiting back then, and I know Russell does a great job for you guys now. But y'all remember who we beat on Evan Ingram?
It was Wake Forest, maybe?
You know, maybe. That would be. But, you know, nobody really recruited the guy, and he's a first-round pick. What about Mike Hilton?
Somehow you beat ULM for him, and I still hadn't quite figured that out. I mean,
but,
he must not like water skiing. I don't know.
Yeah, you go back and 73% of those guys played on Sundays, and then again the 100% guys were guys like John Youngblood. He never played on Sundays, but you know what? He was a really good college football player, and glad he was on this roster. And he had this. The guy was really good for me. The guy played a long time. He wore number 38. I think everybody, every Ole Miss fan, if we said, hey, we're going to recruit this guy and he's going to wear number 38, we'd all take him because those guys are really good college football players. Just look and again, there's 5 unique, and I don't want to really give away on the air, but in a nutshell, what we do is we've been able to quantify that and give it a grade. And so that's a big cornerstone of how we recruit.
Last thing, I'm gonna let you go. Really appreciate your time. I've always found this interesting, and just you answer it pretty short. We can do it again sometime. But you can go into detail. I know you've always been very high on Matt Luke, and not just Matt Luke the guy, Matt Luke the coach, but Matt Luke the head coach. You're convinced this guy's a rising star in head coaching, and obviously he inherited a difficult situation, and the roster's not where he wants it to be at this point. What is it about him that has you so sold?
I guess me personally, I have a very easy time, I guess, separating business from personal. That's never been hard for me, and I do have to preface this by saying that he's one of my really, 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 really good friends. And that part of it, him being my really good friends, I tell people all the time, this job is personal for me, for many levels, but this job is personal for me because I refuse to the nth degree of my soul to let him down. But that's why it's personal to me. Now, going through that and separating that from the business side of it. When I met Matt, the first time I met Matt, I was actually at St. Paul's, and he was actually at Tennessee at the time. And we had that run of guys down there, and he'd come down there recruiting. And the great ones, when the great ones walk in the room, they have like this, and you've been around it, Neil, they have this aura about them. It's almost like they got orbs of light. I mean, they got this energy, they got this something about them, and you can sense it. And again, you guys have been in the business long enough, you kind of know when they walk in the room whether they got it or they don't. And it was very evident to me way back then that he had it. And so we got to know each other then while he was at Tennessee, actually. And we kept in touch over the years, and then then we get kind of put together here when I got here, whatever that was in 12, and became friends. But to see how he can motivate guys all the time. I mean, some guys that's probably even what people consider to be some of the greats in coaching. It would really surprise you how much of it is, what's the word I'm going to use here? Be careful. But it would surprise you how much that people are kind of off a little bit about what makes somebody really great. There's no phony with this guy. Everything he does is 100% real, and it's 100% impressive. The way he motivates people every single day. And I tell people all the time, the secret to being successful is consistency. Consistency is boring. It's hard. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. But to see him bring it every single day, and it's almost like every day he brings it, and you're like, man, that was the best I've ever heard. And then the next day, man, that was the best I've ever heard. And the next day, man, that's the best. I mean, every day he gets better. And I'm just a huge believer. And, again, it's personal for me, but I honestly believe he's the best I've ever worked for, and I'm not just saying that. He's able to get the job done and do it his way and not have to be, a crazy person while he's doing it. But he's as genuine as it comes. He's real, and I think he's a real deal.
Well, Tyler, I really appreciate the time. I know you got a busy day. Hope to talk to you soon. Good luck to the Braves, as long as it's not in a certain series against a certain team in October.
Well, can I honestly say I would even, if they can get there and just play that certain team in October, if they can even see the 10th month on the schedule, I'd be very excited.
Well, I think you'll see the 10th month on the schedule. I do.
I'm just looking for the 10 in front of the schedule. That's all I'm really looking for.
All right, my man. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right, man. Y'all have a good
one. Thanks for the time. Bye.
Thanks to Tyler for giving us time this morning out of his busy schedule. Really good stuff there. And if you're needing someone to help you out with your schedule on this Friday, take advantage of Stocking. That Locker Your Suite. Locker Stockers can help you with that because they place your order, handle purchase and delivery to the locker or the suite for game day. They'll keep it going for the pavilion or Swayze Field when the time comes as well. So lock in a price. Tell them about the podcast at 662-586-1487 or info@lockerstockers.com.
Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. HarryAlexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab. Filter through by what you're looking for. The results that you get are updated daily and are current. And then send him an email, ha@harryalexander.com. He'll take care of the rest. The podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, unlike AT&T, you speak directly with the live person, all without having to press 10 buttons without a 5-minute wait. OUB offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000. And with Kasasa, ATM fees nationwide are refunded. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
Podcast is brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga, the leader in condo financing in Oxford, and the float down option. So you lock in the rate, but if rates go down before you close, you get that lower rate. You win either way with Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLowe, JLOWE, at communitymtg.com. Let's jump right back on the Billy's Pecans hotline and talk with Gabe DeArmond about Missouri, train tracks, and a little bit more. Gabriel, as Jay would say on the other show, welcome in this morning. I'm giving you a chance to defend yourself because yesterday Neal was pretty critical of your ability to get him a bobblehead on this show. So a day later, I'm allowing you a floor for defense.
The request has been made. I was told it would be taken care of. It is now out of my hands. I have sent it to the bobblehead call center, wherever that may be located, and we'll see what happens.
So you haven't checked on it then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I checked once. I'll check again here. By the time Ole Miss makes its second trip to Columbia, the first one's 2019, So the second one I'm assuming will be like 2037. Neal will have.
It will be 12 years the way this thing works, because like Carolina comes in later in the year. They don't come back to Oxford again until 2030. However, Neal didn't go. I was in Columbia back when Chase Daniel beat the crap out of him about a dozen years ago.
Yeah, that was an interesting game. Not really, but I saw
Patrick Willis was really good. He was like by himself on the defense.
He was.
Patrick Willis was excellent that day.
Yes, I remember him being a big story. I saw something today that I think it's Auburn will visit Florida once between 2008 and 2030.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's 9 games or what, but I do wish the SEC would revamp the schedule. I mean, these forced, like Missouri and Arkansas, I don't force that every year. Give me something a little bit different. But, we have to protect the Volunteers' right to get their brains beat in by Alabama every year. So.
And Auburn, Georgia. Don't forget that one.
Yeah, if I listed the top 5 rivalries in the SEC, neither of those would ever come to my mind.
What would the top 5 be?
That's a good. Now I said that, and I'll have to name them both. Alabama Auburn's clearly one.
Okay.
I don't know. Is Ole Miss Mississippi State? Like, that's a much more traditional one. I don't know if it's one of the top 5.
What are you basing that on? There's nothing more toxic in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, LSU, Bama, LSU, Florida, probably.
Okay.
Is one of them. Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Florida. Those are all bigger than all those other games, I think.
Georgia, Tennessee, even probably. If Tennessee was worth a crap.
Possibly. Yeah. Missouri, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
The Columbia game, the Missouri, South Carolina. Whenever that thing's on, man, it hits me right in the feels. I get
what?
Excited.
Actually, the funny thing is, like, since Missouri has joined the SEC, that's been the best series. I mean, there have been some really good games, and the women's basketball coach there sued Missouri's athletic director, so that's actually probably got more juice to be a rivalry than Arkansas.
Is there a trophy for that football game?
I'm sure there is. There's a trophy for every game. I don't know.
Yeah, see, Ole Miss has this one with LSU that's a woodshop trophy, so I figured Missouri and South Carolina would have one as well.
Every opportunity you get to work it into the conversation.
I'm sorry. I do think Ole Miss and Arkansas should have one, and it'd just be Houston Nuts straw hat, and they pass it back and forth every year.
I'd watch.
Yeah, why not? So,
I wouldn't watch the game, but I'd watch the trophy presentation.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We're rambling on and on. Is Missouri, especially, I don't know what the line is, but whatever it is, can Drew Lock and the Tigers stay within that this weekend against the Bulldogs?
If they get the defense that they got at Purdue last weekend, no. David Blau had 122 passing yards on the season coming in, and he threw for 572. David Blau set the school record for passing yards in a game at a school where Drew Brees played and at a school where Joe Tiller basically brought the run and shoot to college. Nobody had ever thrown for more yards than David Blau, who would not have started the game if the other quarterback was healthy. So that was not necessarily encouraging for a Missouri defense that thought it was much improved from the last couple of years. I can paint you a scenario where Missouri can be in this game late. Drew Lock's going to have I think the last 2 weeks he maybe has played the best football he's played at Missouri, and he's going to have to be better than that on Saturday to really give them a shot. But this is, if Missouri plays an A game and Georgia makes some mistakes, I think Missouri will have a shot. But if Georgia plays well, no, Missouri has no chance.
Yeah, Locke's been so good. His arm talent is off the charts. He's going first or second in the draft.
Somebody brought this up on our message board. Speaking of things that people work into every conversation possible, I'm about to go that route. But somebody brought up on our message board, are the 2 best arms in football in the state of Missouri right now between Drew Lock and Patrick Mahomes? I think it's an argument you can make.
The love affair between you and Patrick, he's going to have to put out a restraining order on you.
He had 6 touchdowns and 5 incompletions, Neil. This is like, this is my, I don't know, who's your guy? Chris Bryant? Not now, but 2 years ago, probably.
Are they going to lose in the wild card round or the divisional round here in January?
Oh, no. Mahomes is going to throw 64 touchdowns, no interceptions, be NFL MVP, and lose to the Dolphins in their first playoff game at home.
Okay.
He's going to throw his first interception of the year with 2 minutes left in the playoffs, and it's going to be returned for a game-winning touchdown.
Pick 6 in the divisional playoffs against Miami. You heard it here first. He's awfully good. Have you ordered your Mahomes jersey yet? Be honest.
No, I believe if you pay your own bills, you should not wear jerseys. As long as your parents pay your bills, it's okay to wear jerseys. But no, you should not wear jerseys.
So you think
you should just change your Twitter avatar to honor people.
So you think there's like 65,000 like sad individuals that have jerseys on at NFL games? I mean, I agree with you. I'm actually looking for a reason to agree with you here.
No, absolutely. My favorite is going to a game, and I love Arrowhead Stadium. I think it's one of the best places in sports. But
it is. I love it.
At Arrowhead Stadium, you actually don't see any jerseys. Like, all the jerseys are like Joe Montana, Derek Thomas, Marcus Allen, Tamarick Vanover. Like, they're all guys that played 24 years ago, largely because I think most of the people there have probably spent all their disposable income to go to the game and don't want to pay for a $125 jersey that's been made in the last 24 years. But no, I'm not a jersey supporter.
What was
I believe that is not something that should happen.
What was your first jersey as a kid?
I have owned 2 jerseys in 3 jerseys actually in my entire life. My first one was a Keith Jackson, Oklahoma jersey when I was like 11 years old.
Boomer.
I wanted to go to Oklahoma. Keith Jackson, Jamel Holloway, Barry Switzer, Billy Tubbs was coaching basketball. That was the place I wanted to go.
All right, that's jersey 1. What's 2 and 3?
The other 2, I have a Jackie Robinson jersey. I bought at the Hall of Fame. And then I, at one point, had a Houston Oilers Eddie George jersey, which became like a pajama shirt for my wife and is now, I don't know, gone somewhere.
That's a pretty good collection. If someone told you that that the Chiefs would win the Super Bowl if you wore a jersey every NFL game day, would you do it?
Would I have to wear it in public, or could I just like put it on and watch the game at home?
No, you got to wear it in public.
I'd probably do it, but I'd probably feel pretty bad about it.
Okay.
You'd of course do it. It's a Super Bowl title. It's not even a question.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted to. I felt like I'd back myself into it.
You're talking to a dude over here that's got like 84 deodorant strokes on today. So I mean, come on.
70, 35 on each arm.
Oh gosh. All right.
It's Cole Hamels Day.
I got nothing, guys.
Yeah, I know. We're leaking oil, and it's like Tuesday.
So last thing, Ole Miss comes to Missouri next year on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being super lame and 10 being, man, this is the greatest place on earth. How does that road trip rank for visitors who go there once every 20-something years?
I'd say like a 4, 3 or 4. It has the advantage if you're willing to spend an extra, 35 minutes on the road and fly into Kansas City as opposed to St. Louis. I will point you to world-class barbecue. So that's good. I think Columbia is a nice college town, but I don't know that there's anything here that's going to blow you away. It's a college football Saturday.
You got a hell of a library.
My
there.
favorite trip in the SEC. What's that?
You have a hell of a library there. I've seen some of the walls.
Yes, you've seen the brick walls. No, but like Nashville is kind of in a category of its own as far as SEC road trips, right? Because it's not really a college town, but it's clearly the best trip. I like Knoxville. Where else? I like game day at South Carolina, but nothing blows me away about the other Columbia. It's fine. Other than that, I don't know. A lot of them are the same.
We have breakfast or lunch for the 11 a.m. kickoff in the press box.
Yes, it will be breakfast food in the press box that day, which is good news because what you then will not get is the hamburgers and hot dogs in the Fairfield press box, neither of which are really what you would refer to as the traditional color for hamburgers and hot dogs.
See, Vanderbilt has this problem. It was an 11 o'clock kick against them a couple years ago, and whatever food they served us, the sausage was gray.
Yeah, no.
It was a really strange gray color, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah, that's the color we do hamburgers here in the Missouri press
Are they
box.
soybean burgers, you think? Are they actually beef?
No, there's no beef.
I don't know. Full
Okay.
disclosure, I have not had the guts to try one in about 4 years. We used to get some different foods. We now seem to get hamburgers and hot dogs every time. So I only live a mile and a half from the stadium. I tend to either eat before I leave or stop by a friend's tailgate of mine and have food on the way in.
All right, last thing. You were in West Lafayette, Indiana for Purdue last week. Forget the game. I have no interest. You all were very excited about the locomotive that came out with the team at the beginning of the game, and also wanted to get
Very excited.
what was the press box atmosphere like, Big Ten compared to the SEC, where the warning is issued and then nothing is done?
Yeah, there was some cheering because it is Purdue fans are. It's like every other press box now, where like the boxes and the high dollar boosters are pretty much sitting right next to you. So it wasn't terrible, but yeah, Purdue has a whole theme. They had the locomotive lead them out. They had this big inflatable train that the players run through. They actually have railroad tracks from the locker room down to the field, not real ones, but painted on the. So I was very impressed. It is up there with the Sooner Schooner and with the Eagle flying out at
Really?
at Auburn.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I believe Ralphie is number one.
Of course.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But yeah, other than that, the Purdue train, I actually texted my wife and son and said, you probably need to look at Purdue and perhaps could pay your way through school by driving the locomotive prior to football games. That's my goal.
All right, I know you're talking to somebody more important in a couple minutes. One last thing. Do you tip on takeout orders?
Depends on where it is.
Like because it's a
usually,
like a place you go to a lot, or just in general?
Well, no, look, I'm not going to tip the counter lady at like Burger King.
Of course.
But if I go to a place like Panera or something, it's a little bit nicer, I'll throw a couple bucks on there because it always brings up the option, like, do you want to add a tip? And I feel like a terrible person if I say no, so I add something minimal.
What about Sonic?
Yeah, you have to.
Kind of depends.
They don't
if
allow
I pay
you to
with
tip
cash,
on the
I'll let them
card.
keep
It's their
it, but if
fault.
I pay with a card, I usually don't.
Yeah, right. You can't add it to the card at Sonic. That's the problem. So
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's their fault.
exactly.
So if they wanted the tip, they would give me that option.
Fair enough, Gabe. Enjoy Georgia, Missouri. I'm cheering for the Tigers. I have absolutely no faith, but I hope something works out.
All right. Good deal. Talk to you guys.
Thanks to Gabe for giving us a little bit of time this morning. A very unorthodox show today with a couple different good guests, as well as plenty of talk about tipping and Sesame Street and Mario Kart and Neil's lack of civil interest over here. So Matt Luke will speak tonight at practice. We'll bring you whatever he says, and then I guess there'll be some other people available too. I don't know, but anyway, what?
Nothing.
What are you laughing about now?
I'm laughing at our last conversation between.
I'm done with that one for the podcast today. I don't think I'm going back into it. Just saying.
Oh shoot! People are crazy.
Oh, the nut jobs. I mean,
I'm telling you.
I wish I had time to worry about some of the things that get worried about. I do. I kind of forgot Woody Barrett was at Kent State, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, recruit from time past. Almost won the Auburn job or whatever.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, Kent State quarterback.
So you're telling me that you don't think that little Carly Ann watching Bert and Ernie wonders? I wonder. I don't think she does. I'm gonna tell you now. I don't think two-year-old person thinks like that. I don't think they think. I wonder what Big Bird likes. I don't think they think like that.
Do you not?
I don't. Hell, I'm 48. I don't think like that.
I mean, she cries a lot less when it's like Ariel or somebody on the pull-up. I'm just saying, as opposed to some male figure. Likes the princesses.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? You're a mermaid guy, so you like Ariel too.
I love Ariel.
I have a weird mermaid thing.
Ariel's hot.
I give up. All right, rebelgrove.com. Mailbag is up this morning. A lot's there, I think.
A lot is there. It's brought to you by the Westin Jackson. Go if you're in downtown Jackson. Stop in at Estelle. Chase has been to Estelle. It's fantastic. Great cocktails. Food's fantastic. Check out the Soul Spa. If you're passing through Jackson for work, for pleasure, on your way on a road trip, it's part of the Marriott Rewards program now. So it's the Westin Jackson, downtown Jackson. You will love it. It'll become your new go-to place. Guest, join our show on the Billy's Pecans hotline. Go to billyspecans.com and do some shopping. It's the rumor is, and it's just the rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, it's going to cool off a little next week. Start to feel like fall a little bit finally. Check out those cinnamon spice pecans, the toasted pecans, all the different chocolate pecans, the cheese crispies, coffee cakes, and more there at Billy's Pecans, billyspecans.com or 1-800-624-7404. This podcast also brought to you by 7 South Tailgating. 7 South celebrating 10 years of business this season. Try them once. You'll never tailgate without them again. They'll set up your personal gear, or you can rent everything from them. No one matches their customer service, their attention to detail. And we're brought to you by Megan Phillips with LAH Real Estate. She's the person to call for all your real estate needs in the Birmingham area. With almost a decade of experience, Megan's knowledge and expertise can help you buy or sell your home today. So please visit her website, meganmphillips.com. That's MEAGANMphillips.com, or call her at 205-602-7929, 205-602-7929.
We'll be back with another show tomorrow. I'm assuming Jeffrey Wright will join us, and then Funky's tomorrow night, 5:30 as always. So we'll see you then. Check rebelgrove.com, mailbag, and more on the site at rebelgrove.com.